Good evening and welcome to the zoning subcommittee meeting of November 13th, 2023. All rise and salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just as, if I might, for a second, introduce and congratulate some of our new colleagues here tonight. I see Paul Argenzio, our new Ward 4 councilor. Michelle Kelly, a new councilor at large. Anybody else? I thought I saw a third. I guess I'm imagining other people that are not here. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Novoselsky? Here. Councilor Powers is absent. Councilor Silvestri?
Here.
Here. Councilor Visconti?
Here.
Here. City Council President McKenna? Here. And Chairman Zambudo?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. First item on tonight's agenda, Council Order 23-211 on the application of Youssef Abarali, care of Tuma and Alias Realty Group, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to expand and alter an existing non-conforming structure by constructing a second-story, 1,064 square foot addition for storage space at 570 Broadway.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. Joseph Luna, Project Architect, now Luna Design Group. 100. There we go. Try it one more time. Yes, Joe Luna. We are now the new architects on the project. My company's name is Luna Design Group. We're located at 100 Conifer, C-O-N-I-F-E-R Hill Drive, Suite 406 in Danvers, 01923.
Hi, my name is Youssef Aburjali. I'm the property owner for 570 Broadway, Revere.
Thank you.
Okay, very briefly, we are the new architect now. We're assuming project responsibilities from SAA Design Group, who was the original project architect. The project in question is at 570 Broadway, which is the single-story Domino's restaurant and also a smaller restaurant, a Colombian restaurant, El Peñol. This is, again, a pre-existing non-conforming for side and rear yard setback. The proposed project involves the construction of a new second-floor storage space above the restaurant with total additional square footage of 1,040 square feet. The space will be used exclusively for storage for the restaurant. It is non-patron use. There'll be no impact on parking, additional occupants on the site. It is strictly storage. There's not a basement space use of that. Access to the storage space will be by an exterior stair. We understand that there were some concerns about the height on the original proposal. What we are now proposing is that the existing Domino's roof line, which we have documented at a height of elevation of 38.49 feet, there was a mansard that was supposed to be on top of that for the second-story addition. We are going to eliminate the mansard and keep the ridge line to match the existing ridge line of Domino's at 38.49 feet.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to call the ward councilor first. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This one's a no-brainer for me. The property owner, again, I would have everybody look at Gio's Liquors, what he did to that building. In more than that, the communication between Youssef, myself, and the abutters of the area was outstanding. And I appreciate you guys agreeing to the alterations. So this is an absolute yes from me. Thank you.
Any other committee members? Yes, so we have some conditions from the city planner, and they'll be read into the record.
Okay.
Do you have the copy of these conditions?
No, I do not.
Oh, we'll get you one.
Okay,
We'll get you a
thank you.
copy. If you hear something you're not satisfied with, we can put a stop on
We'll
it.
make it work.
I think you will. And I think it'll be fine. He's very reasonable.
Conditions submitted by Frank Stringi are as follows. 1, the second floor area shall be used for office and storage only. 2, any dumpster on site shall be screened on all sides and shall be at least 10 feet from any residential property line. 3, a street and sidewalk bond must be placed on file with the DPW to secure performance for the installation of utilities, construction of concrete sidewalks and granite curbing, construction of driveways, construction of retaining walls if applicable, and landscaping. A copy of the street and sidewalk bond receipt must be filed with the building inspector prior to the issuance of a building permit. 4, a sewer connection and water connection permit must be obtained from the DPW for all new construction. The city engineer and DPW superintendent must review and approve the proposed sewer service and water service plan, as well as stormwater management plan. 5, the plans must be reviewed and approved by the fire department. And 6, all rooftop mechanical units shall be set back from the building's perimeter in a manner that limits visibility from the street level and abutting residential properties, and include acoustical mitigation and/or noise baffle devices.
Okay, so we'll have a vote of the committee. Roll call.
Shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation on this special permit, subject to the conditions from Frank Stringy? Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers is absent. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. City Council President McKenna? Yes, and Chairman Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, the special permit has received a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the City Council this evening for a vote.
Right.
Okay,
You
very
don't,
good.
you don't have to be here for that, but it will be voted
So
on.
you'll then file the written decision with the clerk's office, and then we have the 20-day appeal period.
Right.
Okay.
Great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll revise the drawings during that time.
Thank you very much.
Next application is 465 Revere Beach Boulevard Realty Trust, 24 Bellingham Ave, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to modify and alter an existing non-conforming 5-unit apartment structure by constructing an additional 6 units to enable the appellant to develop an 11-unit apartment structure and providing 17 off-street parking spaces at 465 Revere Beach Boulevard.
Attorney Simeone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. This evening, I represent 465 Revere Beach Boulevard Realty Trust. Their trust is located at 24 Bellingham Street in Revere, Massachusetts. The trustees are Marlene Cronin, Ramona Giuffre, and Raymond Giuffre. They have, as the chairman and the members are well known, they received a special permit, and they now have asking for that special permit to be adopted again, wherein the timeline for the original special permit in December of 2021 is only 2 years, and we'd like to have it not lapse. Specifically, as I stated, and I will state briefly, the particular property is in the RC1 district. It's 10,715 square feet. It has 46.6 feet of frontage. It's a non-conforming structure, 5 units. It was constructed in 1939 and has been in my client's family for many, many years. They simply look for a complete adoption of the previous December 2021 vote, including the findings of facts as presented therein, and I'll provide those findings of facts as the clerk dictates, because they're already in the original, and we're not deviating from the findings from the original. That said, it is 11 units. 9 units will be single, 1 bedrooms, and 2 units will be 2 bedrooms. And we respectfully ask that the committee take this under advisement until next meeting, when we believe that there'll be more members.
Correct. So, but if there's any questions from the committee, we'll ask them now. If not, this is just going to remain in committee. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the leeway. I'm not on the subcommittee, but I just want to clarify one thing one more time. What's being asked for today is just an extension of what's already been approved. So the 11 units was in the first special permit approval, and there are no additional units whatsoever being added from that point until now.
That is true. Everything we're asking for today is what we were granted in December 13th, 2021. There's no expansion of a special permit. But needless to say, we're asking for it to be a new permit issued in accordance with the same terms and conditions as the December 13, 2021.
Thank you.
Counsel McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Simeoni, so there's a lot of confusion, I think, in the audience. They think that you're going up 11 floors, and you're not going up 11 floors. What I believe, and I remember, is that you're taking down the original building, and you're just going to make one building with 11 units in it. Am I right?
That is absolutely correct. Through you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, to the member.
So you're not going up 11 floors. You're going up, I didn't even know, probably the same height, maybe a little bit more than the building that's there. But you are taking that building, that front building, that yellow building down, and you're just going to make it one building.
My memory of the actual use of the construction is they'll use whatever foundation they can.
Right.
But they will be building a new foundation that will go along with the particular 11 units.
Right.
I
And
believe the 11 units are about 4 stories over and above the parking level.
And I think that they can go back a significant leeway. They have leeway to go back. So I think that's where this 11 units is going. Yes.
We presented to the council
It
the
looks
same
bigger than,
exact.
in the picture, it does look bigger than what it's going to be. So I think that's where the confusion is. It looks like it's the same height as the building next to it, but it isn't. It's 11 units. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Clerk, you want to read the conditions now into the record?
The findings submitted by the city council last time, these are going to be applied to this special permit in accordance with Councilor Zambuto's motion. The project seeks to modify a non-conforming structure by altering the existing non-conforming structure for the same purpose to a substantially greater extent in accordance with Revere Revised Ordinances 17-40030B by the addition of 6 apartment units. 2, the project site is located in the RC1 district in accordance with the Revere zoning map and the Revere Revised Ordinances. 3, the project site identified as Lot 5, A and B, Revere Beach Boulevard, consists of 45 6/10 feet of frontage on the Revere Beach Boulevard, a public way, and consists of 10,715 square feet of land with one non-conforming structure thereon. 4, the project site's address is 465 Revere Beach Boulevard. 5, the project site plan is entitled Site Plan 465 Revere Beach Boulevard, Revere, Mass., October 18th, 21, prepared by Engineering Alliance. 6, the project site is presently serviced by municipal water and sewer, as well as electricity and gas. It is the determination of the zoning subcommittee that such modification of the existing non-conforming structure shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure to the neighborhood, and the project will have beneficial effects on the city and the neighborhood in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. Following conditions as submitted by the city planner, these will be adopted for this special permit as well if approved. A clear pedestrian path of egress must be provided from the entrance of the building to the street. 2, no building is allowed to be constructed over a public utility, which requires that plans be modified to resolve this conflict if it is determined to exist. And 3, a landscaping and fencing plan shall be approved by the Site Plan Review Committee.
You agree to those conditions, Mr. Attorney?
Those are the conditions that were agreed
Yes.
upon before, and I do so again, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
great, thank you. Okay, we'll call for a roll call. Oh, I apologize. We are leaving this in committee. We'll call for that roll call next week.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Next application is 1784 Holdings LLC, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to enable the appellant to operate a self-storage facility located within the IP district at 195 American Legion Highway.
Name and address for the record, please.
Matthew Costa with Beals Associates. Our address is at 2 Park Plaza, Suite 200, in Boston, Mass. So our project's the redevelopment of the, oops, I gotta hit the right. I could share, but I'll be brief with the so redevelopment of the existing property at 195 American Legion Highway. It's an existing gas station, auto parts repair, and material storage, contractor storage yard. It's going to be redeveloped with a self-storage facility, about 25,000 square foot footprint, 5 stories, up to about 60 feet of self-storage units, totaling about 116,000 square feet. Development Team 1784 Holdings is a group out of Arizona. They have a number of developments across the country, beautiful self-storage facilities. Here's an example out of one in Arizona, but it's not your, what I like to present. It's not one of your typical self-storage facilities that you see. They spend some time with their architect group, Jordan Architects, to develop a nice looking building that we spent some time to make sure it looked good within the area. We are filing with Conservation Commission for notice of intent due to resource areas in the back, Site Plan Review Committee if we are able to receive these approvals. And we also received the Zoning Board of Appeals variances for parking last month. Development area right behind the large Amazon facility, the old NECO site. The school, the Rumney Marsh Academy, is right across the street, and you have residential areas right around the side there, highlighted in that pink area in the center of the plan. Existing conditions, resource areas highlighted in the green there around the perimeter of the site. Residential units to the top, American Legion Highway through the middle, and then you can see the storage facility towards the back of the site, gas station towards the front, and then the existing buildings are, call it Plan North towards the top there. That's where the garage is. A few site photos of it, storage area, the fueling station from American Legion Highway as you drive down. And this is the proposed development. As I mentioned, it's a beautiful self-storage facility. You won't really notice the larger height to it with this, the nice glass going up front. Another rendering there for on the other side. A few parking spaces in the front, total of 4 outside, and then there's another 6 units, 6 parking spaces within. There's a drive-in access that cuts through the middle of the building to provide some access to some of those lockers in the middle, as well as access to elevators. And then there's a few loading spaces that are in the center of the building as well. And there's the site plan here. So you have full circulation around the building. You have that drive-through access which cuts through the middle. 30-foot wide drive, just so there'll also be units around the exterior of the building, and then you can drive through the center of the building here. Front entrance, right in the middle there, and then you have and then a few parking spaces up towards the front. It is oddly shaped because we meet with those zoning setbacks from the property lines. So everything's been tucked away in there. We've provided that large landscaped area to the front of the site along the highway to help make it look a little nicer. We've also removed one of the curb cuts. There's 2 large curb cuts on either side to get into the gas station and exit. What we're proposing is one singular curb cut, maintaining an existing curb cut with just that one access, 2-way access that hits the roadway at a 90-degree angle, giving better sight lines to the road as you turn out. Overall reduction in traffic. Units are, people aren't using units every single day. It's every few weeks they'll be going in to access those. So a big decrease in traffic and impact on the roadway and abutting properties. As mentioned, our use is for a special permit. We are in the industrial zoning district, but a warehouse type use and self-storage, which falls underneath that, requires a special permit with the city council. As well as for the criteria for your city council for your special permit, harmony with the general purpose. It's a big improvement from what's out there. Stormwater management improvements. We've also committed to removing trash around the property and outside of our property, inside the wetland resource areas. We'll do a project to remove all that trash and debris that's been out there. An appropriate site and location, as I mentioned, it's right on that one-way side. Amazon's facilities right in the back. We are far away from any residential abutters. So we think the location, the use is great. There's a great demand right now for self-storage in the city with increase in residential units. And then adequate public sewer and water, private water and sewer, or public water and sewer connections, we'll work through that through the site plan review process. And then adverse effect on neighborhoods, it's obviously going to be a big improvement to what's out there right now, especially to groundwater, stormwater, water quality, all those various types of improvements that we'll be making out there that'll be reviewed through the site plan review process and that notice of intent process. And then adequate and appropriate facilities for the proper use. Everything will be provided on site. That just about wraps it up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to offer anything from the audience? No? Okay. City councilors? Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I know the last meeting we had when we had the public hearing, I mentioned there's a 200-foot safety zone that was established back when we built toll manufacturing way back when. And
Not many of us even know what that is.
well, neither did Frank Stringy when I talked to him. And he goes, it was quite a memory that you have, because we were trying to save the neighborhood from the facility that was being built. And there was a temporary easement that was given for toll when they built the building, which was only, again, temporary. So he said the 200-foot is not an issue. It's within the, outside the area of the homes that are near Tuttle Street and
Right.
around there. So there's no problem there. There's only one thing that's maybe small to people, but I notice you're calling it the American Legion. Okay? And the question I have is, you know, how much confusion is there going to be from our American Legion post that we have next door to?
Oh, I didn't know that was the name of
Next
it.
door to City Hall.
I don't think that's been finalized yet. I think they just used it to tie it into the site, but we can,
If you could
we'll
take
work
out the
with them.
word Legion, I know it's on
Sure.
American Legion Highway, if you call it American Storage or something like that, you know.
Okay.
I just think there may be a little confusion, and I don't know.
Yeah,
how
we
the guys in the,
certainly would want,
I don't know how the guys in the Legion would actually feel about it, but I'm a member of the Legion, and I just, someone from outside may look at American Legion and go there thinking that's the post.
so think about your
Just think
name
about the
change.
word, change in name.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, I know it's small, but, you know, just something I don't want
No,
to,
it's important.
I don't want to cause anything down the
Councilor
road.
McKenna?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a wonderful building. I think it's going to be a great addition to the area. So I'm in favor. Thank you.
Councilor Cogliandro, I'll take you even though you're not a committee member. Go ahead. You're on that side.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Clear
This
that up,
this
yeah.
is my ward. I appreciate the leeway. Maybe if they do keep the name, you can work out some significant discounts for veterans for storage.
There you go. I could do that anyway.
You know, I appreciate you guys. I've met with you in regards to this project, and I'm just very appreciative for what you're going to do for the area, especially this, you know, abutting the fence line over there. There's just a lot of trash. That's my favorite part of this whole project. But it's going to be a beautiful building. I love that it's going to mirror the aesthetics of the Rumney Marsh Academy, and that's it. I'm in full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Silvestri?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the building looks great. I think the last time you were up, it said it was going to be 100 units, correct? I mistakenly said that. It's a lot more than that. Okay. When you say a lot more?
There's about a total of 1,000 units, but that includes units that are five square feet, very small, like locker-type units. There's a mix of the units that was included in the plans, and I have it up on the screen. Might be a little bit tough to read, but you can see on the side, there's 5x5 units, 5x10 units. There's a
Okay,
large
so
amount.
just compared to the size of the Amazon building in height, is that equivalent to it, or?
Our building will be 60 feet in height. That's the zoning requirement there. I'm not 100% sure of Amazon's building there. If I had to take a guess, I would probably say it's within that range. A 42-foot clear, maybe.
Okay.
I think the difference is the Amazon building was an existing height of the NECO building, and they didn't alter it. It might have been, the way it was configured was not a height thing, it was a,
No, no matter what it is, I think a building going there next to that, I think it's a little big for that area. 1,000. Think of the storage facilities we have in the city currently. Not one even comes close to 1,000 storage units.
not
It's
one.
it's a little bit big.
Yeah, well, not one looks like this either. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, point taken.
just my point.
Great, thank you. Council Visconti.
You say it's 60 feet, and I know that's the maximum, okay? And I kind of, I agree with my colleague here. You look at it, and that's not that far off the street, okay? And when you see a building of that magnitude, it's going to hit you. And I understand that, yes, maybe the glass might take away from the height, but I don't see that, to be honest with you, if you want to know my honest opinion. I just think it's a very big building that is going to be pretty close to the street. And you look at the Amazon building that is in Ward 6, and I think it was, it kind of hit you as well. So I kind of agree with my colleague here, saying that it is a very big building, and I don't know if it fits that area. That's just me. I don't know why there's so many units, and it has to go up that high. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Mr.
So I'm going to
Chairman.
make a couple of points here. One, we're not voting on the height here tonight. Number two is it's been approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals.
It doesn't
So it's
matter.
before us for the special permit.
It has to be approved by us in
Right,
order for it.
for the special-
So whether it got approved by the
For the
zoning-
special permit, yes.
I understand.
Okay.
In order for it to go through, Mr. Chairman, I mean no
Correct.
disrespect by any stretch of the imagination.
I know you
but,
don't.
But in order for it to go through, it has to come before us.
Correct.
Okay,
It's-
and we
it's
can
coming
make any
before us
changes.
for a special permit.
We can make any changes to that special permit as well. And that's all. I just feel is, and I know the ward councilor is in favor of it.
Right.
And I really do. I just feel it's a little big, that's all.
Thank you.
That's my opinion.
Thank you. Council Cogliandro.
Thank you so much for the leeway, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the is it project manager or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
1,000 units, the number's scary. Could you give us a quick breakdown of, you mentioned 5 square feet are some of the units. Could you give us a quick breakdown about how many of those there are? I think when you think about 1,000 units, some of us might be thinking about 1,000 apartment-sized units.
Sure.
So, we just want a little bit of clarification just for all of us. Thank you.
If I could throw it on the screen again, a little bit easier. So 5x5 units, looks like there's about 300 of those, about 10% of the building. The majority of it, let me just summarize, you have 3 types of units that are about 26% of the total area. Those size units are 5x10, 10x10, and 10x20. The remainder of those other units are all the various sizes, 10x30, some of the large ones 15x15, 15x20. So most of those units, about 115, looks like about 230, and I think that's 300 or 400 units. Those are sized about 25%. Those are like the 5x10. So that's 5x, it's your hallway type smaller units. They're not the larger units. I could say there's about maybe 100 unit, 200 or 300 units per floor. And there's those total of the 5 floors. But overall, there's just a mix of those units. A lot of those are the smaller type units.
So how many floors total?
5.
5 floors.
Yes.
And we already heard about the parking. Just for, out of sheer curiosity, what are some other uses in this area? If you weren't going to do a storage facility, what are some of the other uses that it would have?
manufacturing type uses, where other big storage type warehouse uses could go in there. It's an industrial district, so you're not gonna be getting office space, you're not gonna be getting, dental offices or any types of uses that are like that. I mean, other material storage yards, what's there right now is permitted by right. Parking, automotive parking areas, fueling stations, automotive care, those are all uses that are approved by right here and don't need a special permit.
Thank you very much.
Council Silvestri.
I'm just curious, what do you put in a 5x5 storage unit? It just seems very small, to me. Like, what actually would you put in a unit that small? I just don't understand I could see making a few bigger units and have less. I just don't understand what the need of 300 5 feet by 5 feet units. Is that like a sellable in the business? I mean,
Yeah, I would say it's one of the newer things that they were doing. When they had brought that up, it was a newer discussion that we were talking through. I guess it would be, you could put your fishing poles or, some smaller items, stuff like that, or if you needed just a little bit more space on the unit that you already have, you could do that. You're not carrying anything high up there. Those units sit above a typical storage unit. They have, those movable stairs to get to those units. I could add too that this is just a conceptual unit layout. They had just given us a rough ballpark of what units could be there. They could reduce that number and go with larger units, just more larger units. I think having the bigger breakdown of units, having 1,000 units that are vary throughout those sizes, make it more marketable. Maybe at the time, if approved, and this comes to construction, they could modify that to reduce the units to have more of the bigger ones and, look closer at what style units are out there in the market right now in the city.
thank you.
Council Visconti? Okay.
Is this going to get voted on tonight?
Well, it's going to get voted out of committee tonight. Whether it's going to get voted on in the council or not is another question.
Okay, and may I ask, there's no appetite to reduce the 5 to 4 stories? I mean, I just think it's too high and too big to the area, to be honest with you. And that's just my personal opinion on it.
We'd be happy to discuss it. I think we were doing the most that we could there,
Yeah.
what we needed to do to make it marketable. I could add, a lot of the cost that's being incurred on this site is site work costs. The whole site is inside of a floodplain, so we need to lift up that area, bring in a lot of fill. All of these water quality improvements that we're doing are, pushing costs onto that, so they need that number of units. We did try to keep it within that setback area. So we're trying to maintain all of our side setbacks, front setbacks, and things like that. In order to go down in height, we'd be looking for relief in order to go wider on our side yard setbacks and our rear yard setbacks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, I just feel it's too tall, too big for the area, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what has to be weighed is what could be there.
Anything that needs to be in that area has to be a special permit, correct me if I'm wrong, is that?
No, you're wrong.
Okay, I'm asking the question.
No, I'm telling you,
Okay.
there's a lot of uses by right that can go there.
Okay.
That are much more. in
Mr.
my
Chairman,
opinion-
all due respect,
Yeah.
I mean, let's not play the fair game. We gave our piece. Let's not say by right they could
Excuse
put
me,
X, Y,
Counselor.
and Z.
Excuse me,
No, because
Counselor. He
I'm
just asked me
tired
a
of that.
question.
I'm tired of that. That's a
Listen,
fair game. That happens.
You're out of order.
Well, I'm letting
You're
you
out of
know.
order.
I'm letting you know. You
You're
can
out
make
of
me
order.
out of order, but you're going to
You're
try
out
to play
of
fair
order.
games now.
You're out
What
of
can go
order.
there by right is
You're
not
out
the
of order.
question.
You're out of order.
Mr. Chairman, and I mean no disrespect to you nor the
Did you
owner.
ask me a question?
You did. You
Did I
and
answer your question?
You did. and
Okay.
Listen, I'm not going back and forth. I just don't know what can be done by right. And I understand you answered, and I appreciate that. I'm just looking at it. I think I'm gonna stick to my guns here and
Do
say.
whatever you want.
I think it's
Absolutely.
too
Coun-
big for that area, and that's just my personal opinion on something like this.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Council Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you to the gentleman at the podium, could you just repeat, just to clarify, when Councilor Visconti said, would you entertain going down from 5 to 4, that you said you would entertain that, but then you'd have to go wider and still make do? So essentially, yeah, you'd go down a floor, but you'd still need the relief for setbacks, further setbacks, correct?
Yes, yes, we'd have to get relief for side yard setbacks, front yard setbacks, in order to try to get to that gross square footage that we need.
All right, like Councilor Silvestri, I'm kind of tired too, and I'm tired of, at any time we have developments that come before, Mr. Chairman, like, we try to negotiate, like Councilor Visconti just asked, would you go down to 4? Yeah, we can go down to 4, but then we need more setbacks on this or that. So I too will be a no on this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to table? Tabled.
Thank you. Yep.
Next item is Council Order 23-219, zoning ordinance establishing outdoor dining regulations for the city of Revere.
Mr. Director.
Good evening, councilors. Hopefully, you all remember the presentation and the discussion we had at the last council meeting. I don't know if you'd like me to go into further detail or if, we'd just be happy to answer any questions you have. The outdoor dining amendment that we have proposed was developed in consultation with my office, the business liaison, the transportation manager, developed by Claire, our policy analyst here, and of course with the support of the License Commission. And we've got a fair amount of time and energy that we put collaboratively to making something that I think we all feel is a good fit for businesses that need outdoor dining in the city. But happy to take any questions you have, both myself and the three of us tonight.
Any committee members with questions? Everybody satisfied with the original presentation? Because I am. Vote of the committee. I gotta wait for, why don't we delay this for a minute? Yes. Well, I'm not sure I make that motion from the chair, do I? Anybody from the committee want to make that motion? To offer a favorable recommendation for the outdoor dining?
I just want to make sure that Councilor Novoselsky doesn't have any issue, because
Okay,
he did have some
let's
questions.
delay it for a minute.
He had some questions before.
Okay, we'll delay it. We'll hold on, wait till, take a brief recess. Wait for Councilor Novoselsky. Okay, we can go back into session here in the zoning subcommittee. So we're at the point of asking questions of the director of the outdoor dining, and it's up to you, Mr. Novoselsky.
Thank you, and thank you for the latitude, Mr. Chairman. Some of the thoughts that I had was, what are we doing for sidewalk width, barriers next to the tables going out onto the sidewalk, and also ADA access and HP stuff. Because I've seen, and I mentioned the two locations on Revere Beach I'm not happy with. The way people have to maneuver around the distance out, and I know it's DCR property, and I don't know what DCR said about it, but I have a concern, especially in my neighborhood, with the size of some of the sidewalks. A barrier next to a table will totally jeopardize handicap accessibility, and I have a big problem with that.
Understood, and I'll certainly let my colleagues expand upon this further if I don't get into enough detail here. But if you will note, in the amendment, we have specifically called out adherence to ADA guidelines, and further, we talk about any other adherence to state and local rules and regulations, and certainly working with our site plan review committee as they review these, will ensure that they're in compliance with ADA. And frankly, what we're trying to do here tonight is give local control, because in absence of that, since COVID, when a lot of this outdoor dining started taking place, particularly on DCR property, we didn't have our own ordinance where we defined what was and wasn't allowed and where we took greater control. And this is an effort to do that. So we're hoping that this will be a solution to this problem, not one that further exacerbates it.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I just don't want to influence or force barriers in smaller sidewalks. If a table's there and people are eating there and other people are walking by, so be it. But I don't think, we should force a barrier from the tables to the walking area.
I think Maggie would like to take that from licensing, so I'll defer to her here.
I'm sorry, that just jumped right into my office. Maggie Haney, License Commission Office, and through you, if I may.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, we don't force barriers. For example, in just sort of the emergency one, Cafeteria Las Delicias Colombianas, they don't have much of a sidewalk, but they put just one little table with 2 seats one year. And we didn't make them put a barrier up because there's not a lot of room. So there are certain circumstances where it would be perfectly okay to have a small setup where there's not a lot of room. There's another one in Sandler Square. They actually have a much wider sidewalk than we had supposed. So you might ask them to put up, not necessarily a barrier, but maybe just a little, sometimes it's decorative or something just to delineate the space. But that would be something the License Commission would decide, as long as site plan agrees that it is within legal requirements and ADA requirements. But we're not necessarily going to force it. Does that help?
Somewhat, I'm still not totally comfortable with it. But I just don't want to see some kind of barrier there, because if you put a barrier there, like these ropes that we have here, it's gonna cause a problem with the service people, because they need space to serve tables.
Yes.
And unless they're gonna reach over these barriers to serve the people, I don't know how professional that is.
Right, and there's a lot of different circumstances. In some cases, that's exactly what you have as restaurants. Some of the smaller places in Ward 2, they don't actually intend to have service come out there. They have a cafe thing. You might go in, sit down with your own food that you bought from inside, like the juice bar or something like that. So it would sort of have to vary depending on the circumstance.
What I see down there now is perfect. There's small tables, open, people can sit there, and there's no interruption to anybody.
Yeah.
So I like what I see down in Shirley Ave now.
And that's what this is for, because the problem, as it's been explained to me, I'm sure you already know this, but my understanding, it took a bit to explain it to me with zoning, is if you don't allow it, then you're not allowing it. And right now, it's being allowed only because of that emergency legislation at the state level. Once that lapses, because we don't allow it right now, that means all of that would have to go away.
You mean the outdoor seating
Yes,
you're talking about?
everywhere.
We're not
On the
talking about
sidewalks or
barriers.
anywhere,
Yeah.
you know, in the
No,
places that
I don't
you
mind
have
having it. I
Yeah.
encourage it.
And that's what the whole point of this
Yeah.
for us was, just to have it codified by the city to be allowed under rules that the city finds acceptable.
Okay. If I may, Mr. Chairman, through you to Tom, in
Go ahead.
section 1716-310, restaurants, non-fast food, item number 2, it says minimum frontage utilized by the use in question shall be 60 feet. Is that for new construction, or?
Can you repeat the number one more time?
Yeah, it's on the 17.16.310, restaurants,
This one.
Right,
item number 2. It says-
Right, so that's a pre-existing component of the ordinance just related to restaurant uses within those districts. So that, we're not actually changing that component here, but per your request at the last meeting, we added track changes to show the areas that we were adjusting, which in this section is further on down in the statements pertaining to outdoor dining. So that would be letter B.
Yep.
But letter A was unchanged through the work that we did in this.
Those are the special permit requirements.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That it, Counselor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's the will of the committee here. Let's
Move it out,
vote,
move it out.
to move for a favorable ruling on the,
Shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation on an ordinance establishing outdoor dining regulations in the city of Revere? Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers is absent. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel President McKenna? Yes. And Chairman Zambudo?
yes.
Yes, this ordinance shall receive a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the full city council for a vote this evening. Next item is an ordinance further amending the zoning ordinances of the city of Revere relative to pre-qualified lots, signage, and driveways.
Mr. Director.
So same goes here as the last amendment. We were looking at other minor tweaks we wanted to make to the zoning ordinance while we were looking at outdoor dining. I reviewed these at the last meeting, but there was a small tweak relative to pre-qualified lots. One tweak, and this actually is a change from the last meeting. We currently have an 8% grade for driveways. The proposed amendment was to bring it up to 9%, and the planning board, in their comments back to the city council, actually recommended that we go to 10%, which, as you might recall at the last meeting, I had mentioned that that's often the standard a lot of communities use throughout the Commonwealth, so they just wanted to conform to that standard. Then the third is relative to standing sign height, and just clearing up a inconsistency within the ordinance to have it be 20 feet as a height limit across the board. And then the final item was related to projected signs, and this again was just eliminating some inconsistencies within the ordinance. So happy to answer any particular questions you might have.
Any comments from the committee? Seeing none?
Vote on the amendment first, changing section 2.
Let's do that.
Shall the zoning subcommittee accept the amendment offered by the planning board to amend section 2, title 17, chapter 1728, section 17-28110 of the revised ordinances of the city of Revere is hereby amended by removing the words 8% and inserting in place thereof the words 10%. On that amendment, Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers is absent. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Council President McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, that amendment has been accepted. Now, shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation on an ordinance as amended relative to pre-qualified lots, signage, and driveways. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers is absent. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel President McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, the ordinance as amended will be sent to the full city council this evening with a favorable recommendation. No further business.
Thank you. Just before we adjourn the zoning subcommittee, I'd like to welcome and congratulate our new Ward 5 Councilor-elect, Angela Garino Sawaya. No further business. Meeting is
Counselor.
adjourned. Oh, I apologize. I did that, yeah, okay. Thank you. Adjourn.